Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Wednesday afternoon, October 20th. We are looking at Window Trader's market profile of SPY, IWM, and Triple Qs. And I was short size at the day's high. I was long double the size just at about the day's low and still ticked off because we have to put that all into context, what happened, and also what happened throughout the day. For starters, we have our fourth upside gap that's held. We've had 5 gaps in a row. One was a downside that got filled. 4 have been upsides that have all held. We got within $1.40, $1.50 of the all-time high, but that's also a balance high because the monthly's in balance. Don't forget, last month's high, this month's low. So balance rules are certainly in effect, and they kind of put me in that short earlier today. Russell goes out with a trend day. Nice set of single prints in B. They held them. They do end 10 wide. Again, I don't count end period. So Russell goes out. Trend day, 10 wide, the day's high and the low. Triple Qs, they took out both sides of the IB and actually had a large set of single prints to the downside. But they filled all of those. They only go out 6 wide. Basically, you can use, I guess, L's high as an afternoon rally high for something to lean on. Otherwise, it's the day's high and low. So as far as us, we open, not a big gap. I didn't think that gap would hold. I said that right before the opening. It obviously did. It pushed up with not too great of tempo, and I took a short of the 453 puts. That worked out as it backed off. And then I actually went long in A when it pulled back of the 450 calls, and those were a decent size. That was a 100 lot. And that paid me nicely. So that was a good start. Then in B period, I got long. Not right away, but I got long when it pulled back. Again, of the 450 calls, not the same size that I did in A, and made well on those. Now, after that, I started a short. And in C, I started it before B's high. I didn't think we were going to... I knew we had single prints. But we were getting close to the weekly high. I was like, are we going to take that out? We had taken back a lot. The market stretched. I was in some trouble initially, and then I was short probably, I think it was 300 puts of the 454 puts. And I did okay on them, but nowhere near as well as I should have done as it finally rolled over, and then C and then D obviously filled the single prints. But it was still a good trade. Then the trade that really... Here's one thing before I get to the next trade, which was my last trade of the day. I'm frustrated at myself because there were numerous opportunities, E, F, G, H, and again an L, to fade before it made a new high. I like fading a new high. You could have faded the extreme. In other words, take that short, use the day's high as you're out. If you did that, you got paid each and every time, and boy, did you get paid in H if you did it, and in L. I didn't do that, so I'm a little upset with myself with that. What I did do in H, I was looking for a pullback to get long. Now, one thing for these longs to get out, we were 7 wide already. Now, it's half back is the same, but values, I think value might be kind of a little lower than where it was when I started. But I started too big, too fast. I started with a 450 call, right around half back. I bought 100 of them. Obviously, I got into some heat, big time. I did not expect it to do what it did. When it finally got down, I was long 675 of the 450 calls. And it rallied for me, where I was getting hurt pretty good at the time, because I had 100. I added another 70. I'm trying to figure out how I did it. I added 100, 75, then 200, and then 300 at the lows. So when it went back, and I started getting my money back. But unfortunately, it got back enough where I took it all off, and I actually made money on the trade. But the risk reward was horrible compared to what I made to what I was down. And then I was like, well, maybe that's all they want to do. And I thought maybe they'd go for the low. I balanced. J goes up, and then look what they end up doing. So a little frustrating that I had a huge sell position at the high, didn't maximize it, and a real large call play at the low and didn't maximize it. I would have, if they had filled the gap, if all they did was fill the gap and couldn't get into yesterday's range, I would have probably gone long another 400 calls, probably been long about 1,100 or 1,200 of those calls. But it didn't happen, went back up. So it was a good day, but I didn't maximize the short, didn't maximize the long, and I did not take advantage at all of fading the extreme here before it got to a new high on the day, which it never did. SPY goes out with a poor low. I know ES does not. As far as destinations, upside is today's high of 452.73. You should have all the other ones I gave last night. So what's important now is if we don't take out today's high and it becomes a weekly high, we'll have two weekly highs within 8 cents of each other and within just a little over $1 of an all-time high and the balance high. So it's going to be interesting, right? That's why balance rules are just as important, if not more important, than gap rules. For the downside, we're 11 wide at G's low of 452.31. And by the way, look at the way they gunned this up and now right back down and N. So 452.31, 11 wide. Then we don't have anything to today's low of 451.01, which is a poor low, and then filling the gap at 450.71, a 30-point gap, and you should have all the rest of the downside destinations I gave you. Now, let's go to the chart. Let me just see something real quick. Let me see what Tesla. I know Tesla's earnings were coming out. I don't know if they came out. Not sure if they're out. The high and the low is 869, 857. It's trading at 859. So I don't know if the earnings came out yet. So monthly on the SPY. Like I said, I now have it in balance. Last month's all-time high is the high of it. This month's low is the low of it. We still have an opportunity for an outside month up with 7 trading days to go. Weekly up. One time framing up, and the daily up. And now I have 4 gaps as my main focus. Folks, this is not healthy. It's just not. Look what happened here. We kind of did the same thing here when we bounced off the 50, right? I think we had gap, traded sideways. We kept going higher, but eventually, boom, it comes back and takes it out. This isn't a healthy market. This isn't a market built on concrete. Sure, you can go get the all-time high, but what good is it if you make an all-time high and then come back and take all this back in one shot? So I think it'd be healthier to come into balance, fill today's gap, fill the other day's gap, and come into like a 3-4 day balance, trade sideways, hold 2 gaps, hold the 50, and then go back up. But again, the market doesn't care what I want. I'm just saying for the health of the market it would be good, especially since the volume has been crap. We did 49 million yesterday. We're at 47 million today. So we'll probably be doing more with the after hours, but it's still light volume. Hope you had a good day trading. Have a great night, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.